And a big good evening, folks, and welcome back to the RTA IndyCar series here on Gantry TV. It is round number 6 of the championship, and we are at one of the most famous circuits of American motorsport. Started in 1975 by a travel agent turned motorsport enthusiast, Chris Pook, made this fabulous circuit that was once upon a time sponsored by Toyota. Now the famous circuit is owned by Acura, and they bring us fabulous IndyCar races here every single year. So tonight we are going to take that chance, and we're going to head from mid-Ohio down south to Southern California in Long Beach for the 3.167 kilometer circuit. Only 11 corners, but the walls are very close, past the famous fountain and all the way through the bumpy streets of this city. Lap record here held by the fabulous Colton Herta in his IndyCar back in 2022. He's won round here. Teammate Kyle Kirkwood has won round here, and usually Honda cars run pretty well at the streets, of course sponsored by Honda. In our own championship we have two big front runners, just like maybe Kirkwood and Herta. It is Ronan and Dylan McClemens, but more on that in a moment. It's a beautiful sunny day once again here in the United States of America. My name is Dalton. It's a pleasure to be joining you tonight. Kevin Galvin hopefully will be with us at some point. Just like Cork in the All-Ireland hurling final, he hasn't shown up. We will get a look at our championship standings now, and there is a bit of a twist in this one, folks. It was expected to be Dylan McClemens who was leading it, but he received a penalty after the last round, so Ronan has jumped in front, 325 points, with Dylan's 319. Conor Melia sits a nice third on 248, and then Sean McClellan surprisingly in fourth after the rough start of the season he had on 245. Peter McCann then sits in fifth, with David Wardy Ward in sixth on 226. Brandon McGaughan in seventh, returning tonight. He'll take last week as his drop round. He is on 219. Tony Stack in eighth on 208. Kevin Joyce in ninth on 202, and Andrew Murphy in 10th position. Consistency is key for Andrew on 186. Qualifying will be get going shortly, folks, but in terms of practice, both last night and tonight, the pace setter is Kamto Chukara, who is 2 weeks back from his leaving cert holiday now. He had a great week last week, though. It was his best week in RTA, in any RTA series, since the Super Formula Light series, all the way back in the Nürburgring. He's not too confident he can keep it within the walls tonight, but certainly the pace suggests otherwise. We'll have the alternates and the primaries available for use, although going by the practice sessions, it does seem to be the alternate tyres that are the preferred, so they will be the ones that we will see mostly this evening. Long Beach, it's a track with a bit of Irish history as well, folks. Tommy Byrne, you may recognise him as the could have been in Formula 1, but had some success in Irish motorsport in various categories. The Dundalkman actually won the 1989 Indy Lights race around here, around Long Beach. Indy Lights, now known as Indy Next, but it is IndyCar's feeder series. So he actually won this race around here. I was going to say last year, it definitely wasn't last year. In the last couple of decades in 1989. Big thanks for tuning in. Great to have the regulars back with us. Great to have Sean commenting while driving once again. Hopefully we can get some more. I imagine Johnny Hollywood will be watching from somewhere. Good to see the David Ward fan club rejoining us. Make sure to get your comments in throughout the evening. We love reading them all out, and we will try and read as many out as we can. Driver of the Day nominees, big as always. So last week in the Mid-Ohio Sports Car courses, there's Peter McCann showing what not to do around Long Beach. Last week in the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course was a great evening of racing, wasn't it? It was quite a track that surprised me, to be honest. I'm not sure about you folks at home, but I didn't expect to have half as good overtaking as we did. It was Ronan who won the first two heats, won the first one from pole, and then won the second one in dominant fashion, ahead of his teammate Sean McClemens. Then heat number 3, he wasn't able to get the better of Dylan McClemens, despite Jamal Gandor blocking Dylan as a bit of lap traffic. Wasn't able to get the jump over him. It was the second consecutive week that Heat 3 did see an all-team DDR podium. It was a different order to Daytona Roval. Dylan did win both of them, but Ronan and Sean swapped positions in mid-Ohio. We mentioned Andrew Murphy and his consistency, how consistency is key. In all his top 10 appearances, let's say, so far this season. He's either been in 7th or 8th, so a stellar job from Andrew, and he'll be looking to repeat it tonight. Brandon McGowan just clipping that wall on the outside and hitting it there. The walls are very close around here. For those of you at home who enjoy our chaotic races, I think you're in for one of them tonight. Race starts from the last corner are going to be very difficult. I'm not sure if there was a rule brought in by the race stewards for the race starts, but look, we'll find that out very soon. We're trundling out for qualifying now, and it is the purple machine of runner-up in the championship, Dylan McClements, who will lead us out. First out on track, Conor Melia right behind. He will have a lot of clean air to work with. Not sure what the regulation will be on running into that pit lane in towards turn number 1. I imagine you'll be allowed to use it, but we will find out when we run on board with one of these guys to start a qualifying lap. Pole position, you would think, is paramount around here, but it absolutely isn't. Only 6 times in IndyCar has this race actually been won from pole position. That is including this year, where Kyle Kirkwood did win from pole, but only 6 times in history. I imagine an RTA for heat number 1 is going to be that little bit different, though. If you get a front row start, you're in a great spot here this evening to step in the footsteps of Al Unser or Mario Andretti, who have all won more than 4 times here. Paul Tracy as well. Let's ride on board with Dylan McClements then, or certainly we'll try our best to have a lap of Long Beach. The start finish line actually very late on this circuit, so you would think it'd be about here, but it's not. It's actually not until after the curve, so there you go. Now Dylan McClements is underway, and he's heading down towards the Aquarium Way at turn number 1, so pulls all the way to the right hand side. You're not allowed to use that pit exit. Clip that curve there and get right close to that right hand side wall. Braking, almost aim for that left wall. You round through South Chestnut Place and past the fountain, and now these 2 next corners are very, very difficult. This one, just bounce your way through, avoid all the bumps and get close to that left hand wall on West Shoreline Drive down towards turn number 6, where it's a blind entry. You've got to turn into that wall, but it will open up a lot on exit, and you can use that as your acceleration and traction point. This is the tightest corner on the circuit, and at high speed, cut all of that curb on the inside, get right close to the walls here. Being close to that concrete is paramount for a good lap here. Down East Seaside Way, braking at the 200-yard board. Don't cut all of that corner there, just use the flat bit of the curbs. Now hold on for dear life, double left-hander, and then pile on the brakes as you get nice and close to that inside wall, as per usual. Bolted out of this corner. As soon as you get the car straight, you have to be at full throttle, otherwise you're losing lap time under the Acura bridge. Great first lap for Dylan McClements, but he can go quicker. 107.8, Conor Melia 108.2, so Dylan putting in a very good time there. Jordan Kelly back for this evening, 108.8. Kamto Chukwa goes close to Dylan with a 107.9, so that lap looking even better for Dylan McClements given the track conditions. Ronan Doherty not really finding a lot of time. He's put in a 111.9 there, or 110.7, apologies. It was looking to be a 111.9, but 110.7 for Ronan Doherty. Both David Prunty and Phil Upson on the board. They've opted for the primary tyres here, so not fancying the softer compound available in this IndyCar on iRacing. Peter McCann goes to 5th, just behind Jordan Kelly, but a good lap nonetheless. So Dylan's lap looking even better than we first thought. I think we almost got down to the 106s in practice, but we will find out soon. Dylan is improving once again, though, in through where the Formula Drift sessions are held in this part of Long Beach. Ronan Hederman, a big fan of Formula Drift, not so much IndyCars around Long Beach, but Formula Drift certainly around Long Beach. I think James Dean always performs well around here, but that could be waffle, because I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to drifting. Ronan confirming I am in fact right for once. There goes Dylan McClements, 107.4, so he improves the benchmark once again, but Kamto Chukwa is improving in the middle 2 sectors, 107.6. So these two certainly the pace setters early on in qualifying. This fountain, I know someone will ask who hasn't watched IndyCar, has a driver ever ended up on it? Yes, actually, Simon Pagenaud a few years did end up on top of the fountain, so we could well see it tonight. We could well see someone upside down in the fountain. Who knows? It's not something that is out of the ordinary potentially for RTA. The hairpin turn at the end, or the start of the main straight I should say, was used to be the end, or it used to be hairpin to hairpin at that section until the left-hander, the Aquarium Way, was added back in 1982. He used to be a right-hander, but he used to cut that whole fountain section off. But for some reason, they decided as cars get quicker, we're going to add a nice fountain in place. So it has a lot of history, the fountain. The Dolphin fountain, it's known as, it is bronze, if I remember correctly. It is a bronze material. It is a roundabout in real life. It's in the middle of a roundabout, but it was added to the circuit in 1988. It is a whopping 10 feet tall, so none of us are going to get any close to it in terms of height. But an upside-down IndyCar, mind, who knows? Danny Dempsey is back and running. Well, he was up until 2 seconds ago when his front right tyre had come off its tethers, but seems to be back on them miraculously, just like this IndyCar loves to do. He's currently running in 9th position, is Danny, and he's looking to improve upon that. Hasn't been a bad season for Danny when he has been running. Has got picked up some good results. Now we're riding on board with championship leader Ronan down towards turn number 1, and we get another ride on board with a car now. It's been a rather clean qualifying session so far here in the first 6 minutes of it. Let's see how Ronan tackles this one. So breaking point for the first corner is almost these trees. That's really what you're looking for, and you can see that second tree from the end there. That's where I like to brake anyways. Then in towards the fountain, sort of just before the start of that wall. Use all of that inside curb on the fountain. And now through here, you are clipping these curbs, but don't clip the raised part. You'll see there's quite a raised part on the first one. If you clip that, you may potentially roll over, so you don't really want that. This next one then, of course, is blind, as we said. But there's just that little bit of curb there, and just where the wall tucks in, that's really where you're aiming for, and you can accelerate all the way out of that corner. This one's a bit more difficult. It doesn't open up on the exit, even though you feel like it should, so you've got to be precise through that section. Overtake's not really possible through there. Pato O'Ward demonstrated that on Scott Dixon back in 2024. This next one then, it feels like it should be quicker, but you've got to just be patient through this section of track especially. You can see Ronan very early on the brakes to hook it in for this right-hander. Remember through there that you have 2 rear tyres, because it's very easy to just want to accelerate and then all of a sudden you realise your rear tyres have not quite got around the corner. You got to remember them, very important on a race car, and that's a great lap from Ronan Doherty. Very clean, very precise, 107.586, and you can see he goes to 2nd position and joins his teammate. Johnny Hollywood says he's starting a night shift, so I'm absolutely delighted. Yeah, sorry to hear that, Johnny. Very disappointing. Not great. Was it Helio Castroneves? It was one of the Mayor Shanks anyways. I always thought it was Pagano, but it was definitely a pink Mayor Shank and former Indy 500 winner. We can narrow that down anyways. As Tony Stack, we're looking at, has just had a spinner in front of him. Tony Stack also running an IndyCar livery. It's a Rahal Hederman Lanigan, the one of Graham Rahal. I'm not too sure that's Ollie Meredith. Oh, ferociously close there, and there is a car park that one of the McClemens brothers has had to weave their way through. Tony Stack and Ollie Meredith, and Ollie is in a really difficult position there. Should probably do what Tony did and go back to the pit lane. It was Sean McClemens who had to duck his way through there because Dylan is only coming out of the pit lane. He lets Camto Chukwa fly through. Camto, who I believe is running a 7-Up livery, if I'm not mistaken, running the sponsor of the #1 medicine in the country, as rounding in through here. No, he's not. I definitely saw a 7-Up logo on that car earlier. It might have been someone else, or I might be going insane. Potentially could be both. Someone's green car has a 7-Up livery. That's a cracking livery, Kevin. He's got rid of the old McLaren colours. He's put on a slightly more successful one. This is the Arrow McLaren livery. I have a nice model of it above me. Not that that's very relevant, but it is the Arrow McLaren. Used to be Arrow McLaren Smith Peterson, now just Arrow McLaren livery. They have won 2 of the last 3 IndyCar races at Iowa and just last weekend at Toronto. Patricio O'Ward winning both of them. Here's Ken Doyle in the Ling Motorsport car. Used to have actual Ling Motorsport logos on it, but it does now, so great to see Ken Doyle repping the team. Lovely colour, that one. Reminds me of the RPM F3 liveries, or not F3, whatever version of Formula 3 they race in. Reminds me of that. So does this car of Dara Halley's. He's currently 5th in qualifying. Jason Smith is 4th. Jason, of course, raced last week in Mid-Ohio, but didn't really taste much success. Got 2nd place in the first heat, and then no real positions of note in Heat 2, Heat 3. a potential assault charge on Peter McCann in Heat 3 for Jason Smith, of course, but we'll forget about that. Had a lot of success in British Formula Ford, nonetheless, in Liddon Hill, where he took another win in what was, let's put it as a not well-ran weekend. Joining me now in the commentary box and arriving on the scene in the middle of qualifying is Mr. Kevin Galvin. Kevin, good evening.
Yeah, hello Evan, arriving with 5 minutes to go on and qualifying for the final laps, just coming in right when things are about to get spicy. And Dylan McClemens and Ronan Doherty once again, but look at Camto. Camto's well up the order at the moment.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't have seen it, but as we were talking with the viewers at home, Camto quickest in practice both last night and today, so pace very good for Camto. Seems to like this circuit.
The thing about these street circuits, though, it's you generally tend to have to hold off on them a little bit. So the fact that if you're a guy like Camto and you're very comfortable around here, that gives you a real edge because everyone else is kind of trying to get themselves up to speed with the, I suppose, just not trying to push too hard on the street circuit and potentially ruining their qualifying run.
Yeah, you have to just keep it clean. We've seen a couple of ruined qualifying runs. Ollie Meredith and Tony Stack creating a bit of a barrier on the circuit. Here's Jason Smith, though, in that beautiful coloured white and gold livery down towards the final couple of corners. He is currently in fourth, not really tracking quickest, although I have to... Oh, there goes Conor Melia to second. Great lap for Melia. I have to say, though, top 6 within 0.2 of a second here. It's very close.
Yeah, very tight. And God forgive me for saying that. I really hope that there isn't a first lap pile up here, because that is one of the talking points of this street circuit here at Long Beach, and one of the longest running on the IndyCar calendar, and one of the most prestigious, as I'm sure you're well aware, Evan. But it does lend itself potentially to some big pileups, especially this section that we see here. Somebody clips the barrier on the inside or goes into the roundabout there in front of him, and all of a sudden you have M50 5:30 in the evening job.
Oh, tell me about it. But as we were discussing beforehand, very historic in IndyCar, but something I've certainly forgot to mention is actually used to host Formula 1 as well from 1976 to 1983. And interestingly enough, never had a repeat winner. But it's probably, apart from Indianapolis, the most, and Daytona I should say, the most historic circuit we have on the calendar here. It also completes our IndyCar trifecta of oval, road course and street circuits. So now these guys are proper IndyCar racers.
Yeah, it's nice to have a mix of all of them as well. And obviously next week we go back to the oval for our penultimate round of the season and our second and final oval race at Daytona, which I think a lot of these guys are quite concerned about. So it's interesting because it's obviously we've had road courses a bit, but this championship is kind of so open because of the fact that we have a circuit like this where you can get caught out. You have an oval where you can easily get caught out. So it's a championship that's full of tracks that really you need as much luck as skill to try and get a good position. As that's certainly a lack of skill being displayed there by No, is it? It's who?
Ollie.
Ollie Meredith. Oh, Ollie Meredith. Ollie can't quite get up to speed with this at all. It seems, Evan. He's struggling a little bit, and this is a track that you do need a bit of time to get used to, because, as with every street circuit, you kind of do need to make mistakes on it, especially in sim racing. Whatever about in real world, where you're kind of getting, in the world of sim racing, you kind of need to be up to speed quickly with these things. So you need to have those accidents, you need to have those incidents in order to try and establish where you can and can't push, and it looks like Ollie's left it quite late for himself here.
Yeah, but Ollie is adapting to motorsport very well. He's learning from the best in turn-free motorsport. Had a great outing in White River in the All-Ireland Road Tax Championship, where he won the final with a savvy decision to go on the wet tyres when everyone else went on the slicks. But Ollie is doing a good job. Just needs to get up to speed a little bit more here this evening at Long Beach if he wants to really contest with, I would say, his ultimate rival, albeit a very good friend, but his rival who he wants to beat, Danny Dempsey. Sean McClement's late lap put in puts him up to 8th spot. Now here is Danny Dempsey, and what is a fantastic livery. It is based off one of the Penske I think with the Verizon sponsorship, might have been an actual scheme once upon a time. Here comes Danny Dempsey up and across the line. Is it going to be an improvement for the young man? I don't think it is. I'm not sure there's many improvements around the field, so it seems like it's going to be Dylan McClemens on pole position once again, which is very crucial given he's trying to retake the championship lead. Hasn't taken pole at all this season, so he'd like to take one here. But Jason Smith wants to try and put that another way. He has improved in the first and second sector.
And of course, that's the thing. Like with these tracks, as you know, I did the VLN at the weekend. Didn't quite work out for me, but not because of unfortunately a GT3 decided to murder me in the first sector. But you know, if you start on tracks like this up the front, the less likely you are to be collected by something that could potentially happen in front of you. So Dylan's in a great spot because if he can get away clean in the opening lap here, no doubt some of his championship competitors will be caught up in some of those instances. Even Ronan Doherty, look down there in fourth. That's an awkward spot for Ronan to be. He's going to be in the middle of a gaggle heading down to that first corner. So it could be the case where he's caught out going down into the first sector while Dylan heads off up the road. But we'll wait and see. Certainly a very intriguing opening race this evening.
Yes, it is. And Dylan McClemens will be starting on pole position. Camto Chukwa in second position. Conor Melia starts third with Ronan Doherty in fourth. Brandon McCaughan in fifth ahead of Jason Smith in sixth and Dara Halley in seventh. Sean McClemens starts in eighth. Kevin Joyce in ninth and Peter McCann in 10th position. It's Jordan Kelly in 11th, ahead of Danny Dempsey in 12th, and it is Ken Doyle in 13th, Simon Hutchings 14th, and Tony Stack, David Prunty, Phil Upson, David Ward, disappointing qualifying from David Ward, not getting a lap on the board, and Jamal Gandor in 19th, and then Ollie Meredith in 20th position. Only 20 cars out here tonight, folks, but that's still going to be pretty chaotic. I'm not looking forward to the rolling start for the final corner, that is all I say.
Yeah, not going to be very enjoyable. And I suppose, look, there's a reason why a lot of people, this is less attended a race because of naturally the way people are slightly afraid of street circuits. Obviously, you make a mistake on a normal road circuit, then, you know, you make a mistake. But if you make a mistake here, you could potentially ruin somebody else's race. And I could see why people are a little bit hesitant to take part this evening. But yeah, that final corner always inevitably catches somebody out. You just can't go too wide through it. So yeah, trying to go through it on a rolling start will be interesting. But look, there's no reason why these guys shouldn't be able to do it. They're long enough racing, and they're long enough racing together. They've been in these cars long enough. They've had plenty of weeks to get used to it. Most people, if not everybody who races officials for some period of time, will have a knowledge and understanding of this track. You know, it's just being careful, especially tiptoeing through that final corner. But funnily, like, you know, people talk about that final corner in Long Beach, and yes, it is a very, very tight corner. But we have a similar corner like that in the street circuit in Chicago as well, where you come around the corner and...
Why did you correct yourself just to say it wrong?
Because I always say it wrong, and then every time I say it right, I think I've said it wrong. So I can never figure Chicago, coming around the one of the monuments there. So yeah, this is the corner we're talking about. It's going to be very tight. It's going to be a tight race, and we're going to go largely single file. So a bit of common sense prevailing.
Yeah, I think there's been a mention in the briefing. I know Conor Melia was talking about it last week, where it is a long run, so don't go too wide until you get halfway down the straight. And now we go racing here in Long Beach. Brilliant start for Dylan McClemens. Exactly what he wants. He's going to be unpressured in towards the first corner. Ronan Doherty under pressure from Conor Melia, and he's already gained a spot, has Doherty, down towards the first corner. And we've all made it through for the most part, although some of the back cars still just slowing up and finding their way. Now around the fountain we go, as there was a move there from Danny Dempsey on Jordan Kelly, and despite it looking like we could have a bit of a pile-up, it is a slick manoeuvre from the young man. He gets ahead of Kelly.
I think that's being generous to Danny Dempsey, but it worked. I wouldn't necessarily say it was particularly slick, diving down the inside, locking up,
done,
and
no
then
contact, slick move
in the back. But yeah, 0x. I have a bit of a story about 0x myself tonight, involving my own road car, which I'll get to later on. But all pretty good, to be honest. Very well behaved, all of these guys, and good to see it because you don't want to see massive car pileups. Oh, that's Jason's. I just Genie Mac. Yeah, that's exactly what you didn't want to see. I don't know what Jason thought he was going to achieve there by trying to go down the inside, but he was never making that corner, and unfortunately, a few other people caught in his wake. Now, Peter McCann going behind Jordan Kelly. It's going to seem like McCann's going to have to hold off. But yeah, a couple in the pit lane already, and David Ward is one of those. So he struggled to put a lap time in. He really isn't enjoying this track. Dara Halley's missing a bit of a front wing, and he has parked it up there. You can't park there, sir. That is double parking, and a parking attendant will be coming along quickly to issue a ticket.
Yeah, battle between Halley and Joyce. Between them, they've won front wing, but Halley's missing his left end plate. Joyce is missing his right. We might have to have another look at that hairpin incident, but yeah, contact made. Just as Kevin said, we don't want to see a pile-up. We almost did, but we kind of got away with it. Let's have a look at the Ganji TV replay then and see what really went down at turn number 11 here at Long Beach. This is Jason Smith looking for the move on Connor Melia, heading down towards the hairpin. Melia just runs a little bit wide. Smith sees the gap, dies it there. Little bit of a clip, and Brandon McGaughan just gets tipped over Jason Smith and has to go into the pit lane.
Yeah, I suspect Brandon will be potentially flagging that with these stewards, because that was never going to be on for Jason Smith. He's still running without a rear wing and without half a front wing. I suppose Jason just deciding that it's not even worth it pitting. He's just going to stay out and see what he can do. This man, Danny Dempsey, is having a great start. He is up to 6th position. Up 6 places in total, and really the biggest mover on this grid so far. Conor Melia down 1, Ronan Doherty up 1, as you saw from that opening lap move. Fairly good from all the drivers. But poor Brandon McGaughan, really nothing that he could do about it, and he finds himself way down the order now, and it's not easy to make up places on this track, really. Once you're behind, there's very few places to overtake, as Jason Smith showed us earlier on.
Yeah, that's really going to affect any late championship charge that he planned. Brandon McGaughan going to presumably have to start from the back in the next race and not get much points here. As we're looking at Dara Halley attack Kevin Joyce in his newly refurbed McLaren livery. Jordan Kelly involved in this one as well. And Jordan, just a bit of blinking from Jordan, but he is still there. And Ken Doyle, I thought, was going to come into the pit lane, but just had a little bit of a wobble off the corners as they fly down the main straight through the right-hand king. A little bit of a bump on the inside of that straight that you can't really see, but the drivers will certainly feel it, and they don't want to be affected by that one too much. That is Simon Hutchings able to get past Ken Doyle in the Ling Motorsports, but I think Hutchings has just hit the wall, so a bit of a swap round. Has just earlier, because Ronan Hederman was laughing at me, there is at least a 7-something sponsor. It's 7-Eleven on Jordan Kelly's car, not quite 7-Up.
Yeah, no, a 7-Eleven, the ubiquitous convenience store if you go to America, or particularly Southeast Asia. They are all over the place. I had their little chime. In Southeast Asia, they have a chime when you come through the door of 7-Eleven. And as you come through the door, it goes ding ding, hello, welcome. So that was my text message tone for about 3 days until I got quickly sick of it and had to change it over to something a little bit more neutral. On Jordan Kelly, and on the subject of not so much welcoming, but bidding farewell, Jordan is blinking quite a lot. And has been, and in a track like this, that does put other drivers at danger, as that's David Prunty in the back getting that all wrong in a very unusual place, coming out of the exit of the hairpin, getting hitting into the side of the barrier, but it looked a little bit further on from the actual exit itself, so it's kind of interesting. That's Kevin Joyce way not giving himself nearly enough room to get around that corner, especially without a front wing, and understeering right into the tyre barrier. Very lucky to get away with that without any further damage, is the 14 car. And there is Jordan Kelly. I was just about to say it. Jordan's blinking an awful lot, and it does put other drivers in danger, and I suspect that if not iRacing itself, obviously that is a system for it, the stewards would have given him a message and said, look, Jordan, just pull away in, because even that instant earlier with Ken Doyle, you said he might have gone into the pits. I suspect that Ken came out of the corner, he saw Jordan blinking, he didn't know where he was going to find Jordan when he returned back to the track, so he just decided to take evasive action just to be sure. But obviously that's not fair on the other drivers on the grid, so I think that's the right way to be.
Yeah, very smart decision. Jordan Kelly is always the utmost sportsman. He'll always do what's best for the benefit of everyone and not necessarily for himself. And he really is an inspiration to some of the younger drivers on the grid here. We're looking at Dylan McClements, who leads by 1 second as we cross over the 5-6 minute mark. It's been a great start to the race for Dylan McClements, but despite a dominant start, Kevin doesn't want to crumble in the second half.
No, absolutely not. But you see, this is the thing why I don't understand that. I was going to come back to it. Jason Smith, right? Jason won a championship last time, and we said, is this a new leaf for Jason Smith? Is he turning over a new leaf and that? And you think, okay, well, of all the races this year, this is a track where if you make a mistake earlier on, you get badly punished because you go back down the grid and it's very difficult to come back from it. And then you see Jason trying to stick it into a corner where you'd absolutely no right to be, and a corner where you quite literally cannot overtake unless somebody decides to park on the outside of the racing line and let you go past. There's no way of overtaking on that corner. And Jason now, obviously he's down to 8th position, so it hasn't affected him too badly. But he will start from 8th in the next race, which obviously could potentially give him reverse grid pole. But still, like, Jason was in a good position there, and he's lost a good few places because of that mistake and because of the damage that he's suffering. And that's going to have an effect down the line. Oh, that's Danny Dempsey going straight into a left-handed turn and ultimately finding the barrier as Peter McCann sails by. A lot of cars very struggling with that corner. It is a tricky corner. It looks more simple than it is. It's one of those corners where you think I don't know, is it just the effect from being in a straight for so long, but I feel like you think you have more time to brake than you do, and then you end up out-braking yourself and going into the barrier. And there's poor old Danny in the fully chrome livery that definitely wouldn't get past FIA or IndyCar certification. And unfortunately for Danny, it's going to be very difficult for him to hold on to that 11th or even 12th place now, because he's going to have maybe 13th with Tony Stack 21 seconds up the road. But that's a disappointing one for Danny. A few places lost there.
Yeah, disappointing for Danny. Such a promising start, but ultimately shot himself in the foot late on and has crumbled, and that is very disappointing for him. Now we're looking at Kevin Joyce versus Ken Doyle. Kevin is certainly the walking wounded, and Ken gives him I would say a wide berth, but he was on the inside of the corner, but still left plenty of room on the outside for Kevin Joyce to work with. And now Ken Doyle tucks into the slipstream of Joyce in front, and this could be a tussle down towards the first corner. Here comes Kevin Joyce, defends to the inside. Ken Doyle on the outside now. Who's going to break the later of the two? It's Kevin Joyce. Is he going to make the corner? Oh, he is. He is. Great defending from Kevin. Ken just passive, not pressing on too much, and he's giving Kevin plenty of space.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I was Ken, I certainly would up until the last lap anyway, as we see Danny Dempsey going into the pits. But yeah, I mean, Ken is doing the sensible thing. He knows that Kevin is running with an issue on his front wing. It could be potentially, I don't want to put the kibosh on it, but it could potentially be only a matter of time before Kevin does make a mistake when he's trying to look in his rear and front mirror and work his way around the street circuit as well, even though Kevin is exceptionally fast in these guys. He's had a great season thus far, and probably even by saying that, hasn't had as good season as he could have. He's definitely involved in a few incidents this season that I can remember that weren't of his own volition.
No.
Ken is completely made a botch of that and has now wrecked his front wing. So
Ken was going for the clipping point through there.
I have no idea where Ken was going. Ken was on some sort of Mario Kart speed run.
Yeah, he was going for the Formula E attack mode, or whatever it's called, that they put on the outside of hairpins. Let's have a look at this one then, on board with the 25 Link Motorsports driver. That's Kevin Joyce in front of him, and you can see, and he just... Oh no, he was going for the exit over the entry, but didn't calculate the radius of the corner and has clipped the wall. That is unfortunately an embarrassing one, but that is the first heat already completed, and Dylan McClements wins it without us even taking a notice, really. Great race for Calpso Chukwa, comes home in second, and Ronan Doherty in third. Conor Melia will take fourth, will be disappointed with fourth potentially. Sean McClements will come home in fifth, drains all the push to pass, as does Peter McCann in sixth place. But great start to the evening for Dylan McClements. It's another win on the board.
Yeah, great stuff for Dylan. I mean, look, to start off straight away, first position, then to kind of get out of that first turn clean as Dara Halley limps over the line with only three wheels attached. Kevin Joyce can't quite get past him. But yeah, it is a great opening race for those two, and Ronan Doherty looking supremely comfortable as well. So That's going to be it's going to be interesting. Like obviously we're going to grid 2 is the same as the standing place for grid 1, but for the feature race we're going to have a reverse grid, and that is going to put the likes of Dylan, Campto, Ronan, Connor, those guys under quite a lot of pressure. But Peter McCann currently in 6th position. If Peter starts in 3rd place, I could very well see him potentially winning the feature race.
Still a long way to go though. We have 15 more minutes of racing. After this one, it will be Dylan McClements and Cam Tuchukwu who start on the front row once again. It is those two who finish in that order, with Ronan Doherty in 3rd and Conor Mealy in 4th, Sean McClements in 5th, Peter McCann in 6th, Jason Smith in 7th and Darragh Halley in 8th. Kevin Joyce in 9th ahead of Ken Doyle in 10th. David Prunty in 11th ahead of Phil Upson in 12th. Then it was Tony Stack, Brandon McGaughan, David Ward, Danny Dempsey, Jordan Kelly, Simon Hutchings, Jamal Gandor and Ollie Meredith with the bottom 5. Unfortunately not completing the full duration of that race. After that one we go again, and the tyre choice is mostly the alternates for this. Once again, we said there wouldn't be many issues with tyre wear tonight, and that seems to be the case.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's a short enough track, and it's not, there's not that many high aero. It's quite a slow track really, so it's one of those that doesn't really affect the tires as much. Yeah, any changes do you reckon, Evan, going into this second race? Like obviously Ronan and Connor were quite close, but can you see anybody toppling Dylan for the second race?
I can't really, to be honest, unless Camto gets a great race start here. But as long as Dylan keeps it out of the wall, he'll control this one at the front. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunities unless you're savvy with the push to pass. But if Dylan just keeps it clean, I can't really see any issues for him. Ronan Doherty will be looking to get the jump on Connor once again and just take home as many points as he can, leading the championship coming into this one. You could arguably say he's favourite for the championship. Doesn't want to bottle it late on and lose to the underdog, that's for sure. Camto, been running very well this evening. I tell you, if he could pull a win, it would be a surprise, but not a surprise due to his pace, just a surprise due to the dominant force that Team DDR has been in the recent weeks.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant championship for Team DDR, who took a small while to get their feet, but Sean again even up 3 places for his finish in that opening race. So they're certainly all getting quite used to it, and Dylan is very, very quick in these cars. I'm not sure what it is about these cars that he seems to really enjoy, but obviously we've seen such variety with tin tops and closed wheel and open wheel that it gives a great opportunity for different guys to show their experience, and Dylan is excelling here, and once again he leads us off for the second race.
Yes, he does, and he puts foot to the floor, and he's given a brilliant jump to his teammate Ronan Doherty, who's already up and alongside Camto Tuchukwu in towards the first corner. Here comes Camto on the outside. Is he able to defend from the multi-RTA champion? I'm not too sure. Ronan Doherty down the inside. Camto goes for the switcheroo. That's not going to work out. We're all out of the wall for the first corner and in towards the Dolphin fountain for the first time. Kevin Joyce down the inside just gives enough room for Darragh Halley not to shatter his front nose, and he gets the move done.
Speaking of shattered front noses, here's Jamal Gandor. He has gotten wrapped up with Ollie Ward, or David Ward, should I say, potentially, although it doesn't look like Ward has damage, so I'm not sure what happened to Jamal, but he's lasted all of 30 seconds before incurring damage on his 961 machine, and I think that is race done for the Lebanese native. So, unfortunately for Jamal, race 2 didn't last very long. As we look at Peter McCann now battling with Kevin Joyce. Sorry, it's Jason Smith, should I say, not Kevin Joyce. Jason Smith. Jason once again on the opening lap, and the final sector has caused massive damage to that machine. A very unusual mistake there from Jason Smith. A huge accident, just completely locked up and went straight on into the barrier. Let's have a look at that again if we can, excuse me.
Yeah, you can almost hear the crunch there. That was a ferocious collision for Jason Smith. Didn't seem to be under pressure from anyone, really. Just went off on his own. Jamal Gandor saw pink on an IndyCar, assumed it was Emma Dempsey, and just lost the head. There was another wobble there for Danny Dempsey. Let's have a look at this from Jason Smith. We're going to have to look a little bit earlier, and you can see it's in towards the right-hander return number 9. He was under a little bit of pressure there from Danny Dempsey, but not too much. Brakes stupidly late, clatters the Firestone sponsorship, and that is front wing gone. Did lose the wheel initially, but these IndyCars have a magnificent regeneration power.
Yeah, it's unbelievable actually how they can defy gravity, but it's like something out of Frozen. But oh, it's not Frozen. It's actually what's the other one? The Wizard of Oz one, whatever that's called. I can't remember. It has Ariana Grande in it. Somebody will come up with the answer in the comments. But yeah,
Is it Wicked?
Wicked, that's it. Defying gravity, that's Wicked. But yeah, Peter McCann was behind him, giving pressure down the inside, and I don't know, did Jason just think that Peter was going to try and outbreak him into the corner or what? But then Peter almost lost it going through the circle that you see at the moment. He caught way too much of that curve on the left hand side, and bounced right across the track, and very, very lucky not to put it in the wall. Is McCann, who's back up to 6 where he began. Danny Dempsey up 7 places already to 9th. Danny obviously sadly finished in the wall last time round, but he's been making use of some of those crashes that have been happening. Jason Smith had a big one. David Prunty had one. Jordan Kelly didn't start. Obviously, he's in the pits. And then Brandon McGahan as well. Unfortunately for McGahan, it's been a disastrous evening. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he finds himself in the pits as well. So there's been a couple of mistakes. I think Phil Upson, I saw earlier on, hit the wall as well. If his livery is the same livery that I think it is. So there's been a few mistakes down the pack, and that's given Danny an opportunity to make his way up. So he's up 7 places to 9th. We're looking at Ronan Doherty. He's keeping Dylan very honest, and right behind him is Campto, and right behind him is Conor Melia. So Dylan isn't having it all his own way. He got a great jump on Campto off the line, but obviously Ronan in second is probably more able to run with him in close proximity. These guys have talked about the aero wash here, but Ronan is well used to that and has huge experience in all different types of machinery. So well used to kind of dealing with that in the same way that I'd say that the number 13 car just doesn't have that same experience. So yeah, Ronan's getting very tight here. It will be interesting to see whether he decides to make a move on his teammate, but also the championship front runner.
Yeah, he's lapping a lot quicker than Dylan McClements. He was 0.2 of a second quicker on the previous 2 laps. Not too sure about the first 2, but of course, and he's now going to the move here, down the inside, in towards the right-hander. He's boxed off by Dylan McClements. We know Dylan is a good defender, but Ronan Doherty goes for the big move down the inside of McClements. Oh, he had a wobble through the corner. He's very, very lucky to keep it out of the wall. That got very sketchy for the race leader, and now it's going to be a long, long, long run down towards turn number 1 for Dylan McClements with Ronan Doherty in his slipstream. He's burning the battery. Dylan not necessarily is. They both have a lot in the tank, and it looks like Dylan's got to be able to hold on. He just got that better exit and knew he didn't have to use the push to pass, but that was very close to contact.
Yeah, Dylan, that's another car in the background. That is David Prunty, I think, once again. No, I'm not sure who that is. Ollie Meredith it is. Sorry, it was Ollie earlier on caught in that incident as well. Dylan almost did a Jason Smith there with Ronan down the inside, but just did enough to keep it down the inside, then parked it on the apex of the final turn, which kind of caused that accordion effect. A bit of Campto Chukra's bodywork came off, but seemingly seems to have reattached itself on the front straight. But I suppose the fact that he's... Yeah, let's have a look at this in a second with Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements. He's going for that move again, is Doherty, but closing the door again is McClements, and this time it's a little bit more straightforward for the 88 car. Not trying to push too hard, but you saw that he parks it right in the exit, and then you can see Ronan's run through that corner is disrupted, and that then gives Dylan the opportunity to push out. So good driving, good defensive driving here from the 88 car once again, just parking it on the exit and killing all of Ronan Doherty's momentum in the number 19 machine, which doesn't allow him to, doesn't allow him to mount a challenge down the back straight. And if you can't get it done down the back straight, there aren't very many other places apart from maybe that right-hander if Ronan decides to go for it. Not too many other places you can make a move around this circuit.
Yeah, if this was a normal track, Ronan Doherty is passed, he's clear, he's potentially already galloped, but Dylan McClements is using the advantage that the narrow straights of Southern California are giving him to keep his rival behind. Poor run for Campto Chukwa. That's going to allow Conor Melia through, and Sean McClements might be looking for this move as well. Runs a little bit wide, beautiful switchback. Has he sold Campto the dream down towards the right-hander? Not quite, because Campto is able to burn the push to pass, but Sean McClements brakes a lot later than Chukwa. He's a lot more confident here on the brakes, and that's a brilliant move. Forces Campto offline. There was nothing he could really do, and Campto unfortunately losing 2 positions on the 1 lap. It's a very rare occurrence here on the streets of Long Beach. Dylan has got a great gap up the front heading down the straight and should survive another lap in the race lead.
Yeah, he is being into an It's 4/10 of a second nonetheless. Camto spent most of that lap on the wrong side of the track, so I'm not sure that he get one corner wrong and then that forced him to make other mistakes, or is he just suffering generally? Because I thought he was actually leaving those guys go for a while until I realised that he was actually still up in a place. He almost looked like a lap car. He was so far off the racing line as those guys were coming behind him. As it is, Camto's down in 5th position. He'd be very disappointed with that. But Kevin is in 7th here, Kevin Joyce, just behind Peter McCann, and with Dara Halley and Danny Dempsey threatening. As I said, Dempsey's up 7 positions. He had a great race thus far after a disappointing opening race, so making up some ground. And obviously Dara Halley in 8th position, that would give him reverse grid pole as we look forward to the final feature race. But yeah, looks like Halley's going to make that move. Halley's got down the inside, and it is a late one, but he manages to get it done, steps on the brakes, and that forces Kevin Joyce now in a battle with Danny Dempsey. Dempsey now has the inside run going down to the right-hander, and this is going to be a case of he who breaks latest. Both of them at the same time. They go too wide through the corner, and Kevin Joyce slightly edged into the Firestone barrier that we saw Jason Smith earlier on. Danny Dempsey makes his 8th position, up to 8th place, but then he gets turned around by Kevin Joyce and going into the back end of somebody else. Danny reverses it back across the track, which almost takes out Ken Doyle. All very untidy. Unfortunately for Kevin Joyce, he's left without a rear wing, but Kevin unfortunately turned Danny Dempsey around in the first place there, so he has only himself to blame for that incident, and we might have a look at that again, but it looked like Danny was taking the corner as one would expect you to, and Kevin unfortunately took a line that wasn't really ever going to work with the car already on the racing line. Let's have a look at this. So Kevin gets slightly pushed into the barrier. Maybe a bit of anger here from the 14. We're not sure. But Danny goes around the outside, and Kevin, it's just sloppy. Just sloppy from the 14, really, from Kevin Joyce. He was never making the corner, and he could have, at any point, probably pulled out of that move and decided not to, tagging Danny Dempsey around. And that's unfortunate for Dempsey. He's still up 8 places, but after what was a pretty clean move, he didn't deserve to be turned around like that.
Yeah, Kevin took the line that you take on a hot lap, but you've got to take into account the car in front. What a move that was by Dara Halley, by the way. I was going to point out how the only way to overtake Kevin Joyce is on the entry of a corner, because he's brilliant at exiting the corners in these Indy cars. Dara Halley picked up on that, got the move done. Brilliant overtake, and he's up to 7th and avoided that little bit of chaos behind. How's Ronan going to overtake Dylan McClements then? Let's have a look. It seems to be this middle sector Dylan is slowest. He's great out of the final corner, decent through sector number 1, and that allows the only sector that he can be caught sector number 2. But even still, he seems to have got it together here, and that gap just staying about 4/10 of a second, which is not close enough for Ronan Doherty.
Yeah, you can see there that he is slightly, actually Ronan is quicker in the first sector by about 1/10 of a second. And normally we've seen him catch up with Dylan and potentially go for a move in that right-hander that we saw earlier on. But Dylan is quite comfortable now, and the tyres are starting to come to him, and he has a lot more push to pass, of course, than Ronan as well. Even here now you can see Ronan is breaking the push to pass to try and keep up with McClements. He's down to 68, McClements is on 97, and that's going to come into things come the end of the race, as Danny Dempsey looks like he's going to get overtaken by Ken Doyle. Good move by Doyle here. Good driving by Ken Doyle. I like to see this in the Ling Motorsport number 20 car, or sorry, the Ling Motorsport number 25 car, should I say. He's been staying out of trouble, obviously made that mistake, which was an annoying one for him, over trying to overtake and getting it all kinds of wrong into the barrier on the outside, but generally doing his best to just try and stay out of trouble and have those clean overtakes. And he finds himself in reverse grid pole at the moment, and I'd like to see Ken have a bash off this from a reverse grid pole. He's going to find it difficult to, if he was coming up against guys on a normal circuit, but it's going to take the likes of Dylan McClements and Ronan Doherty so long to try and actually make up that position, and it's so treacherous as well to try and make up all those positions. It could be a great opportunity for the likes of Ken to find himself on the podium step. I still back Peter McCann though. He's still in 6th position is Peter, and only 4/10 of a second behind 5th of Camto Chukwa. So Peter certainly has the pace of some of those that have been fastest on track so far, and finding himself in 3rd position gives him a great opportunity, if he can get past the likes of Dara Halley and Ken Doyle, to get that top step on the podium. Plenty of talking points though, but one of the main ones we're talking about is that battle between McClements and Doherty, and as I said earlier, Evan, 84 place 51 on the push to pass, and that will come into its own on the final lap.
It will. if you saw advantages such as that in a real IndyCar race, it was due to fuel concerns, but we don't have that, so it is just genuine. Ronan is used more. Ken Doyle with the epiphany of consistency here at Long Beach. If you just keep it out of the wall, you'll get a good result. That is street course racing in RTA in a nutshell. Just keep it out of the wall and you'll do well. Fastest lap in this one belongs to Jason Smith, who's down in 12th after his incident, so it goes to show what could have been for the Selbridgeman. But Dylan McClements, just once again, like he always is, not flustered at the thought of having to defend from someone from lap after lap after lap. Ronan Darnay and Jordan Kelly have both had to deal with it, where Dylan just does not make a mistake. He's so consistent. In terms of the lap times, 1:08.6s for the last 3-4 laps. Darnay not able to find a way through. It is going to take a mistake from the race leader for Ronan to win this one.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, the gap is quite tight there, but Dylan does seem to be able to pull away when he needs to. An epiphany of consistency. That's an interesting one. That sounds like a very anticlimactic epiphany, I have to say. You know, if I was going to have an epiphany about something, I think it wouldn't be about consistency.
Yeah, it's a bit of a double meaning sort of a thing. Maybe. I don't know, I just made it up so.
I feel like it was a misnomer. I feel like you're trying to say something else. But I like the idea of an epiphany of consistency. I imagine somebody waking up and being like, oh my God, I need to be consistent. Therefore, I will win. Speaking of somebody who is usually consistent, but certainly not in this case, is Sean McClements. He's found himself in the barrier. Some would joke that is a certain level of consistency for Sean McClements, but I think that's unfair. So I'll retract that statement. He hit the wall at the first point, and he's without a nose cone already at this point. And watch here now, ladies and gentlemen, as Sean demonstrates how to go straight on a left turn.
Yeah, that's how you do it, pretty much. If you wanted to ever go straight on at a left-hander, you should probably copy that. That's a epiphany of mistakes, if we want to keep on the epiphany thing. I don't know. Be the last time I mentioned epiphanies anyways. Here comes Peter McCann looking for it on Camto Chukowa. No, that seemed to be a lot more aggressive than it was, and Camto just staying in front. Sean into the pit lane as Jason Smith almost into the wall. A disappointing end to proceedings for Sean, but obviously got the meatball flag and wasn't able to continue. Race leaders still circling through. Deja vu for us, and for them, it's still the same up the front.
Yeah, still the same. And a good gap between themselves and Conor Melia, who's up one place into third position. So Conor on the podium, he'll be happy with that. Disappointed for Camto. I think he'll be disappointed that he didn't manage to build on that second position on the opening race, given how quick he was. But unfortunately, just that one lap, that's all it takes. Just got probably one or two corners wrong, and unfortunately in the wrong places, which left him open to a double overtake as Dylan McClements crosses the line for the penultimate time. There is the white flag being raised, and one more lap for Dylan to survive. Out of 5/10 of a gap, I suspect, barring a major mistake, Evan, he should have more than enough to be able to hold off Ronan Darnay for this final lap.
He should, but one lap here is difficult. Never mind 14 of them, as Peter McCann once again looking for the move on Camto Chukowa. Wasn't able to get the job done. We'll have to sit behind for the time being. It's probably the first time this season where we're seeing zeros on the push to pass very regularly. We've seen a lot of drivers save, even Dylan McClements. I'm not sure if he's just being cocky at this point. He's barely used it compared to everyone else. Now deciding to burn and get down this back straight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Dylan now has, like, Ronan's on one. So Ronan has 1 second to push the pass left, and Dylan has more than enough to just burn all the way from here. So expect him to see you use it everywhere from here to the line as he takes, once again, another race win, a double win.
It is. It's a double win for Dylan McClements, and this season in IndyCars, he's almost equalled his total career win total. It is another win for Dylan McClements here at Long Beach. Ronan Darnay comes home in second. That'll keep the championship close, if anything. Conor Melia will pick up another podium here in third. Camto Chukowa will just defend Peter McCann in fourth, and Dara Halley will come home behind Peter McCann in sixth position. Ken Doyle, consistent result. He'll come home in seventh.
Yeah, pity for Ken. Well, I suppose Ken's still up one place from where he was. It's been a good race for Ken, up 3 places in total. Tony Stack and Ken Doyle is going to be the front of our podium, and Peter McCann's going to be in fourth position. I still think that Peter could potentially, barring anybody else taking him out, could potentially have a very good result. But there is our our feature pole sitter in Tony Stack at Kerryman. It's going to be a big weekend for the Kingdom this week. Obviously, himself and Jordan Kelly going head to head. So I won't. I look. I'm a big enough man to accept. I talked a big game last week. And I know I'm going to have to head off soon, but I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that Tip were well-deserved winners on the match on Sunday, and the 21-year wait goes on, but we are still.
That's
very
older
proud
than
of
me,
our
by the
efforts.
way.
Huh?
I've never seen Cork win in All Ireland. Your
Yeah, I
route
know.
is older than me.
It's insane. I mean, I can remember Cork beating Kilkenny's 5 in a row in 2004, and then going back to back, and then Kilkenny ending our 3 in a row in 2006. And at that time, it just seemed like Cork and Kilkenny were going to dominate. Little did I know that was 2005 was the last time I was going to see Cork team lift an All Ireland hurling title. But look, congratulations, Tipperary. It's one thing when you lose by a few points here and there, you can blame the referee. When you get outscored, what is it, 218 to 2 points in the second half? I think that speaks for itself. And just very well-deserving winners. So congratulations to everybody in the Premier County, including those who race in this series. I'm sure Evan Walsh had a great weekend with his Cork girlfriend and never let her live it down. So congratulations to Tipperary, and we'll be back next year.
You've done well to avoid the multiple All-Ireland final references that have been on this broadcast, to be fair, Kevin. I'll give you that. You've done well to just put it out of the mind and focus forward. Anyway, speaking of focusing forward, Dylan McClellan certainly did, and he won heat number 2. Then it was Doherty, Melia, Chuckwa, McCann, Halley, Doyle, Stack, Dempsey, Upson, Ward, McClemens, Joyce, Smith, Galdor, Kelly, Huttons, Meredith, Prunty and McCaughan. Let's speak with your race winner, Dylan McClemenston. Dylan, congratulations. 2 wins from 2. You seem to like this circuit.
Yeah, it's a tight circuit. Qualifying with my way. A good pole lap, but I messed up another lap that was up. But seemed to get me a good position for the start of the races and just took my way there.
Despite Ronan putting you under a lot of pressure there at the end, you were able to take the win. That's something we see a lot from you. Talk to us about just how you cope with those situations, because you always seem to do so very well.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really pushing it. I didn't want to win it or in this tight track, but I saw Ronan getting under close in behind me, and I knew if I just used my push to pass effectively, I could win this one without any hassle. And yeah, it's a tight track. It's hard to overtake, but I'll see what I have to do in this last race.
Yeah, this last race, it's going to be difficult. What's your approach going to be?
I don't know. I try to take it handy in case there's any incidents. If I get top 5, I'll be happy enough. But I know I've paid for more, but around a track like this is so unpredictable.
Dylan, thank you very much for the chat, and all going well. We'll speak to you again.
All right, cheers.
As per tradition, it's Ronan Doherty with Kevin Galvin.
Well, Ronan, we just seem to talk every week. So how are you? How's herself? How's she cutting?
All good. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah. No, I just decided we won't talk about the racing this week because we just do that every week. So just wanted to ask you about how life is, and did you have a nice week?
Oh yeah, just bits and pieces and stuff, and getting ready for Kirkuson next week.
And what's your hopes for Kirks next week?
Hopefully 2 wins, but it's always easier said than done. So go down and just try our best.
Are you hoping to run into the famous motorsport.ie writer Leo Nolte, potentially get your own section on the website?
Oh yeah, no. I don't know if he's going to be there. Is he going to be there?
I don't know.
Well, then, I mean, if I end up running into him, then I'll be sure to say hi to Leo, and maybe he'll make a hit piece about me or a good piece. So.
Right. I'll probably talk to you again next week, Ronan. But look, another good result. I just said we do something other than just going through races because we do that every week. Say hi to the family, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hey guys, see you.
Right. I just said I'd do something else. Now here's
I
Connor
don't
Mealy.
think he understood. I don't think he understood what you meant by say hi to the family. To be brutally honest.
Yeah, no, I'm not in his family, and yet he said hello to me. Anyway, here's Connor Mealy with Evan Dalton.
Connor, as quick as we can, what's your hopes for Heat 3?
Not dying. This is a Martin Brundle run into the car interview here. Yeah, just keep out of trouble. Try and follow the lads through, and yeah, not get caught up in the inevitable carnage at turn 1.
Hope you don't die, so Connor. Thank you very much, and we'll chat you again.
Cheers.
No,
Good to
speaking of,
with, yeah, that was about as effective as we can do it.
Yeah, I think those were 3 great interviews. I think we should put them up for the Pulitzer Prize. On the subject of not dying in cars, I have a story.
All right, here we go. Yep, here we go.
So, very quick story. And I'm not going to be around for the feature race because I need to be gone. I actually should be gone by this point already, but I will. Yeah. I would have been very close. So, driving home, right? Dual carriageway on my side. It's one of those 2-1 situations where you have a climbing lane on my side and then just one lane of traffic going the opposite direction. 2 bikers pulled in on the slow lane, not in the hard shoulder because there's no hard shoulder, just on the slow lane, but stopped in the slow lane. I move into the fast lane to try and overtake them. Somebody pulls out from behind the tractor to try and overtake the tractor in my lane, which is on my side of the road, not theirs. I managed to pull back into the slow lane to overtake them, and as I'm going around the biker decides to do an illegal U-turn and pull right out in front of me. So now I have a tiny gap between the car that's overtaking me, the car that's overtaking the truck on the opposite side that's in my lane, which it shouldn't be, and this biker that's doing an illegal U-turn. So I managed to jam on the brakes, which kicks the ABS in, and then I have a very quick moment of realization where I realize that if I keep pressing the pedal as hard as I'm pressing it, the car isn't going to steer, and no matter how much I'm going to slow down, it's not going to be slow enough to stop me from hitting this biker. So I leave my foot off the pedal and almost trail brake away from this biker, swerving out of the way, clipping his front tire. He didn't come off the bike. He was okay. I was okay. Car was fine. But I would say I was within a few feet of killing a man.
And
I thank sim racing. Sorry, yeah, as Ronan says, what do you think? It's sim racing. Like, I genuinely think if it wasn't for sim racing, I would have just jammed on the ABS and not even thought about lifting off. But I genuinely think it's because of that feeling of like locking up and going on and realizing that you have to leave your foot back off the pedal. My brain was like, car needs turn. Car doesn't need stop. Car needs turn. How do I start turn? Leave foot off brake. So I literally pulled my foot off the brake, yanked the wheel to the right, pulled back into the fast lane after the other guy had overtaken me, and managed to avoid killing this biker by, I would say quite literally, like I clipped his front wheel. So what's the width of the wheel? About that, I managed to avoid killing him by.
I'm glad that no one in Cork is injured.
Green flag.
Kevin, it's been a pleasure to hear the brilliant story as Tony Stack gets us underway down towards the first corner, and Ken Doyle is already going to attack. Here comes Ken Doyle down the inside, and he's already up a position and into the lead of the race in the Ling Motorsports car. Dara Halley is in third, Peter McCann in fourth. Ronan Doherty already up a position, has got ahead of Conor Mealy. Brandon McGaughan already up 2 from the back. Great start for Ken Doyle. He is in the lead of this one. Phil Upson now making contact with the wall. That's a broken front wing for Upson. He's not going to play further apart. That was our last words from the fabulous Kevin Galvin. I'm sure he'll have another story for us next week, folks. But he is departing to do real life things. Ken Doyle still in the lead of this one, and interestingly enough, Ken Doyle on the primaries, not the alternates. Everyone else in the top 7 on the alternate tyres. Danny Dempsey going for the primaries. Then David Ward on the primaries as well, as is Kevin Joyce and Phil Upson and everyone else on the alternates. Jason Smith getting past David Ward there on those alternate tyres as we head in towards the hairpin for the first time, and it slows right down. Big lunge, Danny Dempsey, bang! Pushed to pass indeed into the wall, and that's our first real car park of the day. And it is Conor Mealy who has been put in the wall. Oh, this is all sorts of wrong. It's a stack up and a half. And Danny went for the lunge in towards the hairpin, and unfortunately I think he is at fault for that one. Conor Mealy is going to be fuming, down 11 positions, and that's definitely the end of any championship run he's had. There is someone parked up to the left hand side of the main straight, parallel to the pit lane. They'll be playing no further part in this one as well. But it's still Ken Doyle in the race lead. There's Ronan Doherty. That's Ronan Doherty, who's had a very rare mistake heading in towards turn number 5. I think he's just done enough to keep out of the wall and not pick up damage. But we'll see by the car performance. A very rare error, or was it potentially contact? We might have to take a look at the replay. Jordan Kelly dives down the inside of his old rival, his old foe. The two multi-time champions side by side down East Seaside Way in towards turn number 9. This is a dramatic start to heat number 3. And Ronan Doherty, or Jordan Kelly I should say, gets ahead of Doherty. I'm not sure if Ronan's car is unscathed, but certainly it's not the big damage that it could have been. Let's take a look at our Gantry TV replay then. In towards the first sector here, the opening laps. Yep, he's hit that little bump, and he's totally lost it. Didn't seem to be any damage that comes off. I'm not sure if Ronan Hederman thinks any different, but I didn't see any damage fly off there.
No,
So
I think he's got very lucky in that circumstance. Normally, you'd see the back wing would be gone because any tap from any of the other cars would definitely have sent the wing off. But yeah, I think Ronan very fortunate and doesn't seem to be losing too much pace. Maybe Jordan's already 5/10 up the road.
We will have to see in terms of the lap time. But that is a rare error for one of the championship fighters. Here's Dara Halley, Tony Stack. What a brilliant move from Dara Halley. He's pulled off a couple of barnstormers here today. That's another great send from Halley, and he's up and ahead of Tony Stack now into second place in this one. Did you expect a Ken Doyle, Dara Halley, Tony Stack podium fight here tonight? I don't think you did, folks. And if you're lying. This is a great performance by those three. Jason Smith looking for the move on Sean McClements as well. I'm sure this is going to end well, as Sean acting as rear gunner for his brother and teammate Dylan in towards the Dolphin Fountain. 4 minutes into 20 on this one. We're not even close to a quarter of the way through. Still plenty of racing left on the streets of Long Beach. Graham Rahal, aka Tony Stack, now defending from Peter McCann, who was Kevin Galvin's pick for this feature race, and we will wait and see what happens. Now side by side, McClements doesn't get chucked in the wall. It is a pinpoint accurate move by Jason Smith. Lovely stuff, and he is ahead now. Kamto Chukwa looking for the spot on Kerryman Tony Stack, and I think Dylan McClements is going to aim to follow through. Tony is fading in this race, and unfortunately not able to keep up as Jason Smith barrels into that same wall. He's just got away with it as well. That was almighty close from Jason Smith, and he's just about got away with it. Someone's lost the front wing. It's purple. Is it one of the McClements brothers? I think it could be. It's all stacking up here. Yep, that is Sean McClements, who's missing an end plate. He's not just missing an end plate, he's missing the whole left side of that front wing. Significant damage from the older of the two. And Sean now is going to be a bit of a moving chicane there. Dara Halley in the race lead. Ken Doyle in second. So Dara has got into the race lead here. He's got past Ken Doyle in the middle of all that, and now leads by 1.5 seconds. Peter McCann then in third, and it is Kamto Chukwa, Dylan McClements, Sean McClements, Tony Stack, Jason Smith, Jordan Kelly, Ronan Doherty, Kevin Joyce, Jamal Gandor, David Prunty, Ollie Meredith, Conor Melia, Danny Dempsey, and the rest unfortunately we are not currently seeing. Let's have a look at this. Is it a mistake from Ken Doyle? It is a bit of a mistake, but Dara Halley got the better of the two launches, was just able to get past and missed all that chaos. Into the race lead is the 802. Good move indeed. Job done. Ken gave him a wide berth. Probably knew the game was up. But it's a first few race leading laps for Ken Doyle in RTA Virtual Motorsport, and a job well done there. Now he has the job to defend from Peter McCann for second place. And McCann, the Laois native, is going to be looking to get ahead. There's more damage, and there is a total front... Oh, is the rear wing gone? It was gone for a brief second, but it's back. It's the resurrection of something similar to Jesus Christ. It's the resurrection of Sean McClements' rear wing, which is almost an equal measured miracle given how badly damaged that was. Bye Jason Smith, good night. And into the wall, runs wide, and that's not the first time he's ran wide and into the wall. Total mistake for Jason. Just seems to not be too confident on the brakes here at Long Beach. And let's have a look at this one. Sean McClements' rear wing came and is back, or went and is back. Let's have a look at Jason Smith in towards turn number 1. Is it just too late in the brakes? He tried to go around the outside, broke way too late, and bang! And oh, Ronan Doherty into the air and flies over, bobbles over Tony Stack as well. That is disastrous for the championship. That is absolutely disastrous for the championship. And no matter where Dylan McClemens finishes here, you would like to think he's going to have a healthy lead. That is not what Ronan Doherty wanted. Has not got the rub of the green. And an old foe in the form of Jason Smith is the cause of his downfall. A dramatic final heat here in Long Beach that sees Dara Halley lead to the tune of 5 seconds. It sees Ronan Doherty and Jason Smith come to blows once again. And this time, the consequences are heavy. Ken Doyle still defending from Peter McCann on those primary tyres. They're only going to be getting better as we go along. Ken obviously a lot more confident on IndyCar's harder compound rather than the softer spec. Now we're on board behind the aero screen of Peter McCann's number 15. Let's see what he can do. Braking a lot later than the car in front. Is he just able to dive in towards the right-hander? Looks for it, thinks the better of it, knows there's a big opportunity here and needs to time it right. Now he's got a good run. He's on the battery. 160 seconds to burn of the push-to-pass system. Down towards the right-hander. No, not able to overtake. There is swapping of positions. Conor Mealy and Ollie Meredith have got past David Prunty. So a mistake somewhere there for Prunty. Peter McCann trying the up and under. Has to be careful with that though, as they both jink out away from that wall for whatever reason. But Peter has to be careful trying that up and under line because he has Kamto Chukwa right behind, and we've seen miscalculations into that hairpin before. They don't want it to happen again. Down Pine Avenue in towards the first corner comes the race leaders. And in all honesty, I didn't expect this top three with Doherty, Smith, Kelly all the way down the back. Dylan McClemens still in his normal position as Conor Mealy is able to get past Tony Stack. It's been a fall from grace for both of these, but Conor is on a fight back. This is the fight back for Conor Mealy. And still, Ken Doyle is the fanciest cork in the bottle you will ever see. And he has 5 cars parked right, 4 or 5 cars parked right behind him. Not able to get past. This is heaven for Dara Halley. He's not made an awful lot of mistakes tonight. Here comes Kamto Chukwa down the inside of Peter McCann. McCann able to hold on, but Ken Doyle bounced his way all the way over to block Peter McCann. Kamto Chukwa tries a Hail Mary and then makes contact with Ken Doyle. McCann is nudged by Dylan McClemens. Front wing of McClemens has fallen off, and there's definitely damage there on the rear diffuser for Peter McCann. I mean, Kamto's got his way through, not legally by any stretch of the imagination, but he has got through and he can unleash some of that pace on Dara Halley. I think Dara Halley is the only car that's not damaged at this stage of the race. If I'm Dara Halley, knock the lap times back about 2 seconds and you're still going to be covered here. He's lapping in the 108.6s, which is the same pace that... Oh, dearie me. That's a bobsleigh that Ollie Meredith is in. Needs to go a little bit north to the Whistler Sliding Centre in Canada for that one. Had no front wheel whatsoever. It was skating along the ground. It looked like a hovercraft. That's what Back to the Future imagined cars would look like. Ollie Meredith has put that prophecy true. Here comes Peter McCann now, still trying to fight with Kamto Chukwa, and Kamto with damage, Peter with not as much. You would like to think Peter McCann is going to make this fairly simple, but nothing seems to be fairly simple this evening here in RTA Virtual Motorsport. Ken Doyle has managed to defend from Dylan McClemens, or has he? I think McClemens has just got by into the hairpin, had the inside line. Here comes Jordan Kelly, looking to get through as well as Delara are going to make some amount of money from front wings for these cars here this evening, because they all have none. Look, you can see McClemens is missing his right front. Kelly is missing his right front. Ken Doyle, that's a bit of a silly one. That's a little bit of a silly one. Kelly's missing a lot more than his right front wing. He's missing any points from this race as well, as Ken Doyle has put him into the wall there. This, as Ronan Hederman has just rightfully pointed out to me, I was going to say this is carnage. It's even more so when you hear this statistic. We have 8 people on the lead lap. We have more not on the lead lap than we do on the lead lap. This is exactly what we expected Long Beach to deliver. We have Dara Halley, who's leading in RTA for the first time, and he's not just leading, he's leading by 10 seconds over Kamto Chukwa and Peter McCann. McCann is still stuck behind, and when McCann closes his eyes tonight to go to sleep, he's just going to see a rear spoiler, because that's all he's seen for the last 11.5 minutes. Just cannot find a way past Camto Chukwa. A credit to Chukwa for doing such a good job with no front wing, but it's all straight line speed you need here, and of course these cars are equal power trains. In real life IndyCar there's the Honda and the Chevrolet, which are equal to some extent. It's all the same here. So McCann has no advantage whatsoever, apart from the push to pass, which he's opting not to use just yet. We still have 8 on the lead lap, and Danny Dempsey is a minute behind, so with the way Dara Halley is tracking, it could well be 7 sooner rather than later. What is going through Dara Halley's mind right now? What is going through, in all honesty? He has no recollection of what is happening behind him. He may potentially think he's the greatest sim racer ever with the way he's dumping seconds on the field. You can see he's increasing this gap by over a second every lap. Camto Chukwa is doing him an almighty favour in the form of holding up everyone at this stage. Is McCann going to try send it here at the hairpin? No. Peter is smarter than that. He knows even third place is still big points. He knows Camto is going to get a penalty potentially for the incident that caused his damage. As Ronan reminding us all in the stream chat, make sure to get your Driver of the Day nominations through, and make sure to get them in and vote. I think there's an obvious one for now, but we will wait and see what the other selections are. Jordan Kelly is on pit exit, so he will come back out on track. Conor Melia was in the wall on, was it the opening or the second lap potentially? He's now in 6th and could well finish in the top 5. Could even get on the podium at this rate. Who really knows? Who really knows what's going to happen over the next 6.5 minutes? What is the meaning of RTA IndyCar? What is the meaning of life at this point? Who really knows? As Camto Chukwa, all he knows is keep McCann behind at all costs. Dylan is going to be very happy with 4th, knowing that Ronan Doherty is in 13th. He's still going to get a big points gain and is without question the favourite going into the final 2 rounds of the season. As we ride on board with him, he is cruising at this point compared to the laps he was putting in earlier, compared to his qualifying laps, which he wasn't even happy with, admittedly. As he's heading down the main straight. Driver of the day for Sean McClellan says not Sean. That's fair enough. Understandable. As Wardy saying not me, that was god awful. Bring back the ovals. David Ward not happy as he wants the ovals back. Ronan Hederman has just said ooh no in my ear, but I'm all for the ovals. I missed the first one, which I was honestly really upset about, so I can't wait for the oval next week. I'm not too sure if it's going to be Daytona. There was a bit of a discussion about changing it, but I'm not going to communicate that message in case it's wrong officially. Ronan Hederman, you haven't had much camera work to do because this is sort of the only close battle on circuit. This has been about as weird as they come.
Yeah, and I think, considering there's another 5 minutes left and how close Dylan's after getting, I think Dylan's going to be brought into this fight because Camto is clearly fighting that front wing damage, and Peter has the advantage to get up there, but fighting with Camto is bringing Dylan into the picture, so this could go anywhere. Considering we've still got 8 cars only on the lead lap, you never know.
Last lap of the race has just gone to Ronan Doherty. He's just beaten it back to back. I think the nerves have started to settle in a little bit for our race leader. His last lap was a 1:10.8. For reference, Chukwa did a 1:09.6, which is only a 10th of a second off his best lap, which really goes to show the way this race has gone. Dylan is just keeping it clean here. If he picks up damage or ends up in the wall, any advantage that he could gain out of this race is gone. And he may even lose points to Ronan Doherty if he dropped below Ollie Meredith. Here he goes though, down the inside. Clean move on McCann, or is it? Oh, that was a wobble from Peter McCann. And he almost ended up putting them both in the wall. Great move from Dylan McClemens. Gets the job done. Now he has to attack Camto Chukwa to see if he can get second in this one. What a performance it would be if he could get second. A lot of the hard work has been done in the, let's say, removal of Jordan Kelly and Ronan Doherty. but still a great drive nonetheless from Dylan. And these are the results he pulls out from time to time. This has been an outlier in terms of his RTA career and the amount of race wins he's done. He's put himself in the big positions due to his consistency and ability to pick up points in races like this. It's very rare Dylan ends up in the wall, and when he does, he usually gets something out of it. Speaking of in the wall, there's a bit of a kiss from Peter McCann, and that will not give him damage, I don't think. I think he's going to get away with it because it was the tyre that slapped off the wall and not the front wing. You can usually get away with it when the tyres... Sorry, I've lost my train of thought, and it's exactly what Ronan has just cut to. Jamal is in 5th in this one. Jamal is in 5th position in this one. Last time we visited Long Beach, he actually ran pretty well as well. I think it was in the Super Formula Lights. He actually ran alright here. But Jamal is in 5th position in what has been, dare I say, his worst season ever as a sim racer. As Jamal in the chip in this one, I can't even see him on the championship order. He's in 24th. He has 65 points. He's behind Gary Corcoran, who I think has just done one race. Anyways, let's have a look. As Evan Walsh says, can't bait a kiss from Peter McCann, although with the aggressiveness of that kiss, I'm not sure it was too consensual. He slapped off the wall there. But Evan Walsh, good to see that the hangover has finally cured and he has joined us for this evening. You've missed Kevin, Evan. You could have got a couple of insults in. I tried my best with a few All-Ireland final references, but I'm not sure if Kevin just didn't understand them because he's had a long day or if he just totally ignored them, but certainly they weren't picked up on. Let's have a look at Dylan McClemens then, down towards the right-hander. No, I think Camto's going to hold on here. And that is a miracle of all sorts, even more of a miracle than Sean McClemens' rear wing regenerating itself. As Dylan, I thought he was going to clip that inside wall. That's the precision. These guys scare me with their precision sometimes. 1:20 to go. Dara Halley is still lapping quicker than the entire field. Well, the entire lead lap, let's say. As Doherty is pumping in some quick times. As is Kevin Joyce. Kevin Joyce has actually just gone quicker than Ronan Doherty on the last lap. He's only 0.2 of a second, 2.5 tenths of a second off the fast lap of this one. So Kevin putting in some quick times as well. But what a moment this is going to be for Dara Halley. He kind of came known as the Heat 1 wonder last season, where he'd have a great Heat 1, but the longer duration of the races, he just couldn't grasp. He just couldn't get a hang of them. But it really has been an impressive showing tonight. Unfortunately, he's going to have to do one more lap, so we will save the poetry for then. But there's no one even close to him. Camto Chucko at 12.3 seconds behind, and he's now under pressure from Dylan McClemens, who wants more in this one. He wants second place. Both missing the left side of their front wings, so it's level pegging between one of the up-and-coming newcomers in RTA, and it's weird to say that, and this time we're not referencing Dylan McClemens and the championship leader. As Ronan gets a full look at this one, as his championship rival is going for second place, he's going to have to settle for 12th in this one, down towards turn number 1. Camto Chucko just gets the better exit. Dylan not able to tackle the aero wash out of the final corner, and it seems like Camto might be home and dry here. Almost 0.7 of a second is just that little bit too far for them to catch, as Jamal's going to get a great finish in 5th, but this man is the best finish on the field, the best finish of the day. No, Dara, don't celebrate too early. Don't celebrate too early, Dara. That usually ends disastrous, especially for a former IndyCar champ in the form of Nigel Mansell, but I don't think Dara cares. This is jubilation of the highest order for a man who's never won in RTA. First-time winners don't come round often. They certainly don't come round in the tune of 12.6 seconds. But Dara Halley is a race winner in Ireland's Premier Sim Racing Series. What a moment for him. Made the crucial moves tonight. Got out in front. He will take the maximum 30, and it's 30 of the sweetest points he'll ever pick up in his sim racing career. Camto Chucko holds on for second. Dylan McClemens will have to settle for third. Here's the fight for fifth. Jamal Gandor will have to settle for sixth, but 9 positions gained from the start for Jamal Gandor. I don't think he'll mind too much. What a fight back this was for Conor Melia, though. Driving with pure aggression, pure anger from what could have been, as he was almost sent round from Jamal. That would have been the icing on the cake for Conor Melia. Well, he comes home in 5th. Here's Danny Dempsey. Is he able to pull off one last big move on Tony Stack? No, he's not. It's been a decent evening for Danny Dempsey, and he'll pick up some points to elevate him from towards the bottom of the championship. Please don't send it here and ruin that. No, he doesn't. So Tony will come home in 7th. Danny Dempsey in 8th position, as we ended up with 10 drivers on the lead lap. Phil Upson and Ken Doyle able to get back onto that. I don't really know how, but my timing screen. No, they didn't. Nowhere near, actually. So it was only 8 in the lead lap. Danny Dempsey very close to falling off it. But that is it, folks. Tara Halley is a race winner in RTA Virtual Motorsport. What a drive from him. Really great job. Tara Halley, confirmation there. Camto Chugwa in 2nd. Dylan McClemens in 3rd. Peter McCann in 4th. Conor Melia in 5th. Jamal Gandor in 6th. And it was Tony Stack, Danny Dempsey, Phil Upson, Ken Doyle, Jordan Kelly, Ronan Doherty, Kevin Joyce, Ollie Meredith, David Prunty, Sean McClemens, Jason Smith, Brandon McGaughan, David Ward, and Simon Hutchings. Remember, folks, to get your Driver of the Day's nominees in, and we will discuss that after the interview segment. Hopefully we actually get to hear from Darragh Halley. I'm not too sure we will, but while we wait, let's hear from the 2nd place man, Camto Chugwa. Camto, hello and congratulations. 2nd position tonight, and arguably one of your best performances since joining us here in RTA.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I qualified 2nd, which I think is my highest place as well. And then the first race, I managed to hold on to 2nd place, which I really wasn't expecting. And then the 2nd race, I was in with a shot for 3rd place before I broke my front wing off Ronan, and then ended up banging it into the wall as well. And then 3rd race was a bit of a messier one. We had a little train from one of the cars on the primary tires, and then I went for a move that I didn't mean to go for at the start. I was trying to fake it, and then I locked the front left instead of front right, and then ended up going into the side of him. So I put my hand up for that one. But the first race I think was a clean one, so I'm happy that I got a podium on pure pace in that one.
Yeah, Heat 3 very chaotic as you mentioned, but let's look after the contact then. Even when you had your damage, you held off Peter McCann, and then more importantly, you held off championship leader Dylan McClemens. Talk us through just what was going through your mind then, lap after lap after lap. You're like, right, these guys can't get past me.
It was mainly just don't crash into the wall, because I did that in race 2. So that was the main thing on my mind for every single time I went through one of the right-handers, mainly because that's where the damage is more effective. But after I just survived those ones by just going into first gear instead, it was a bit better because I managed to push the pass as well, so I was able to hold the gap a little bit with the damage.
Great race for you last week, great race tonight on road course, street course. Next week we head to an oval. You didn't get a taste of Indianapolis. Are you looking forward to what's in store?
Definitely, yeah. I think I have a plan that will hopefully see how it goes, but I know the last oval, it worked up until my wheel decided to switch off, but maybe this time will be better.
Camto, thank you very much for joining us and congratulations on a fabulous performance tonight.
Thank you. See ya.
So great to chat with Camto there. Let's bring in the 3rd place man, Dylan McClemens, but I think we are going to get to hear from Darragh Halley afterwards. But let's hear from Dylan first, mostly because I'd already started speaking before. Dylan, welcome back. You did it again. You somehow survived the chaos.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, last race was chaos all around, and I'm quite surprised and happy with the result.
Heat 3, you knew it was going to be chaotic. You picked up that bit of damage, but more importantly, Ronan did about 14 barrel rolls, so I think you have a good foot in the championship for the final 2 races.
Yeah, it's been a great night for points, and you know, I think it kind of shows how chaotic Ronan had. Got lucky race 3, but he still came 12th. It just shows how chaotic it was, but surprised I survived it.
Going into next week then, it is ovals. I know your brother absolutely hates them. You got on pretty well in Indianapolis. What's the mood for that then?
I don't really know. I could have just got lucky in Indy, but hopefully it just goes the same. Hopefully no incidents. Although I was on my Earth the last race, but even if it was just one race and the other two good results, I'll be happy enough.
I prod this stick every season, and you never give me a conclusive answer. Is it your championship for the taking?
I don't know, have to see. Like,
There we go.
the ovals could do anything at this point.
You definitely would have got a number one in the Modelo media thing for the minis anyways, because you have the perfect racing driver answers and never give me anything. But Dylan, congratulations on the 2 wins in the podium tonight, and without a doubt, we'll be speaking to you again soon.
All right, cheers, Evan.
And now, without any further ado, let's bring in our race winner, Dara Halley, for heat number 3. Dara, firstly, congratulations. This one's been a long time coming.
Yeah, thanks very much. That's my first podium, actually, so not a bad way to start it off, I don't think.
Let's look before heat number 3 then, and just the whole evening in general. Some massive overtakes from you tonight. Was it just a case of you knew you had the pace and you were going to send it, or was there a bit of luck involved?
Oh, there's a lot of luck involved. I thought I had no pace today. I was like a second off in practice or something. But then I think Ken, I was just trying to stay behind him because I didn't want to crash like I did last week. And then he stuck to the inside, and I just accidentally launched it around the outside. It was just like absolutely unbelievable.
This is only a scenario myself and Ronan Hederman can really imagine. What goes through your mind when there's 10 minutes left in an RTA race and you see you have a 12-second lead?
I was shitting bricks, to be quite honest with you. Wait, am I allowed to swear? I'm allowed to swear. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Anyways,
we're not really, but we're after Watershed, so you're fine.
it's okay, yeah. No, I was absolutely sweating my head off. It was I was stressing. I nearly killed myself as well. I locked up and nearly went into the barrier. I don't know if you saw it.
We saw the lap time drop, certainly. And then
Yeah.
finally, the total other side of the coin. What does it feel like when you cross the line and you realise you've done it?
I was just happy I didn't bottle it like I've done about maybe 8 times at this stage. So I just relief basically is all I felt.
Statistically, in RTA, when drivers pick up their first win, they don't have to wait too long to pick up their second. Will we be seeing another Dara Halley masterclass before the end of the season?
I mean, what's the next track? Oh, Oval. Don't know about that one.
And then it's Barber at the end, so
Never driven it in my life, but hopefully I had the pace the last 2 or 3 races, so hopefully I can continue it then.
Dara, congratulations. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
I think before you go, it's safe to say you are this evening's driver of the day. So congratulations on that as well.
Thanks a lot, Evan.
A pleasure to speak to our podium then, as always, and Dara Halley, driver of the day. Seemed to be that way from the chat, and certainly he was my pick as well. I can't imagine Ronan is going to disagree with it. But Ronan, just on this evening as a whole then, very different for what we've seen this season. A lot more chaotic, but almost what we expected in a way.
Yeah, myself and you spoke in the pre-show about that this race could go anyway, and I think that's kind of happened. And I'm absolutely not raining on Dara's parade, because you heard my reactions when Dara Halley made those unbelievable moves in race 1 and race 2. So he absolutely deserves it, but it just shows you the chaos of Long Beach.
Yeah, it was chaotic. But you've got to be in the right places to take the win. That is exactly what Dara Halley did. Folks, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Evan Wild saying driver of the day, Darren McCarthy. He's had enough success in recent. Sean saying Evan Wald's only started supporting Tip since Tip started winning. This is Sean McClements, who goes around wearing a Donegal jersey despite being front of the county anthem, so we'll say no more. Jamal saying the only time you would see me in the top 6 when everyone dies. Fair enough. Self-awareness, fantastic trait. Jamal with a good result this evening, picking up the points as always. Next week, folks, we are scheduled to be at Daytona. Whether that changes or not, I couldn't tell you as of now, but we will be racing at an oval on the 29th of July anyways. And then we head to the season finale at Barber Motorsports Park. You can check out our season results and championship standings on rtavirtualmotorsport.com, and does a fabulous job and has them uploaded by the end of this evening usually, so you can check out all the points there. Big thanks to motorsport.ie for their continued support of the series. A big thanks to all of you watching on Gantry TV, and a big thanks to Ronan Hederman, who makes the pictures happen on Gantry TV. A big thanks to Kevin, who was with me earlier on this evening, but he's gone to fuel down his hatred for motorbikers. But nonetheless, it's been a brilliant evening of RTA action once again, and we will see you at 9 o'clock next week, same time as always. Stay safe, stay well. Slán go fóill.